Hey,
Yes.
Oz, oh,
Hey, Curtis.
what movie we talking about this week?
Oh boy, we're talking about Peter Pan mixed with the Fallout video games with a little dash of the circus if you're blind. We've got Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Yeah, the music in this movie was just very like I was waiting for a parade of elephants to walk across. We got it's what it felt at times. We had camels. But there were times where like we've talked a lot about in the past couple where like the score and the music behind it has just been like perfect. Like it's been overly dramatic and an overly dramatic scene and it's worked wonderfully. There's parts of this where I felt like somebody brought in like poor man's just had on the tip of my tongue too. Oingo Boingo guy, Danny Elfman. Somebody brought Danny in Elfman, a poor man's Danny Elfman, and gave him the wrong scenes to lay the score down, and then they just like like there's times where like they're just when they're in the when they're in Neverland or wherever the kids live. They're just like walking, and then suddenly there's this like swelling circus style music, with a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of Elfman-esque in there, and I'm like, this is just weird. This is weird.
It's the kind of music where like Beethoven is about to like bump into Charles Grodin and like his face goes into the dog water.
Exactly. You're just waiting for a pratfall that never comes. And
let's just say this movie's awful.
I almost reached out to you as like, hey, when we get to the 3, 2, 1s, can we do 3 bad, 2 good? One, huh?
or how about just six bads?
I'll do 6 bads and you do 6 huns, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, there's very little redeemable about this movie. Oh, and especially what makes it even worse is just coming off the heels of Road Warrior. Yeah. Like you think that they're just like, how do we top that? They don't.
They try.
Do not.
They try.
Oh
but
man.
Well,
do they?
I don't think. Granted, I'm not. I don't necessarily know all of George Miller's backstory, but he doesn't come off to me as the kind of filmmaker that's just gonna like throw the towel in. He just doesn't come off as like, I'll do it for the paycheck, because Mad Max is his baby. I can see Babe, or Happy Feet or something where, they're throwing him some scraps and he goes and makes something out of it, but like, this is his thing. I just don't see part 3 being like, I don't feel it,
I'm just in my head. I'm thinking about like if the studio got a hold of Babe the Pig and like how that would be different. There's like product placement in there. Like
slap it instead of that'll do pig on the side of the pig.
That'll do Skippy brand peanut butter.
So hopefully, listeners and viewers, you stick around, and even though we've kind of made our reveal of how we feel about this movie, but stick around and listen.
Well, we don't want to lie about it.
Stick around and listen to us destroy it.
It's bad
because it's not fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, let's
get into the characters, and I'm just basically just going to list
because they don't matter.
And again, there's really only 2 that matter, and honestly, probably just one. And the one is Max Rockatansky. The same Max as who's been wandering through the outback desert and the Australian wilderness.
This one of the 3, I think this is the first time that we could call him Mel Rockatansky, because there's more Mel Gibson in this role than there is Max. And so, it really is a downer there of just, he's become big at this point, or bigger anyway.
Yeah.
And they're trying to showcase that. And it's hard to do that with this, fantastic mythological-esque character like Max that kind of comes and goes into people's lives and makes a difference. And off and he's just this traveling do-gooder, wanderer-esque, whatever. I keep saying esque a lot because I don't know why. yeah, there's just a lot of Mel Gibson now, and it sucks.
We also have Aunty Entity, played by the one and only
the cleanest
Tina
person
Turner.
in the apocalypse. There's not a speck of dirt on this woman. She does look great.
No, she looks great.
She does.
For being in the post-apocalypse,
I'd read that the wig that they wanted her to wear wouldn't fit over her hair, so she just freely was like, shave it. They shaved her head for this role so her wig would fit, and she didn't even hesitate. So good for you, Tina. Right. Yeah, she really did look
commitment
great
to the role. She could have big timed him, like you're talking to Tina Turner, right? We've got some other characters. Jedediah the Pilot, played bizarrely by Bruce Spence, the same guy who played the gyrocopter.
Like, how could you be typecast in the Mad Max universe as a pilot?
Yeah, that's pretty specific.
I even have in my plot notes, it was confusing, especially at the beginning.
Yeah,
when you recognize him flying down, like stealing from Max, and I'm like, wait, you guys have a relationship. And then you realize, oh, no, different character. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, he's wearing a safari hat, so he's clearly
Max
a different character.
Got long hair, so, but he played the same guy.
They should have brought back the kid who played the feral kid,
the Newt of this movie.
Yeah, and this time he's playing the ferocious kid.
It would have worked. Might as well have.
Yeah, exactly. We have the Collector, who's another toady character. We have Iron Bar, who's like the
I was the plot.
Whatever. He's like the sheriff of the town.
Yeah, I'm the plot in this episode, and you're already paying more attention to it than I did. I'm like,
normally I wouldn't even give these characters the time of day, but I don't know. Like, there's something. Yeah, we got to talk about something in this movie. We have Pig Killer, who's a completely unnecessary character. We have two incredibly problematic characters, Master and Blaster.
Yeah, at least they're put together. Like, it just reminded me of like Krang.
Yeah.
This would have been a much better movie if it was like Mad Max meets the Ninja Turtles, and Krang is the one running the underworld. I would have enjoyed
been more believable.
But yeah,
and then we have a variety of kids in this tribe in the middle of the desert who find this oasis that they want to escape
Peter
from,
and Michael and Wendy and
yeah, they're all there along with Screw Loose and Savannah.
Okay.
Whatever. Oh,
God. At one point I had Willow in my movie marriage, but I took it out. I took it out only because I thought Peter Pan. I had Willow and Lord of the Flies in there. I took them out just because it was okay. It's not as fantastic as Willow. And then I got to the point where I'm like, well, I wasn't even until right this moment. Like, I wasn't drawing the like little person connection between Willow and Master. That wasn't part of it at all. But I'm like, this is more Peter Pan.
It is. Yeah, this movie's complete Peter Pan send-up. You could throw a pinch of Goonies in there, which I believe came out months before
Peter Pan's got alliteration. Mad Max has alliteration. So there you go. Meter Man. It's Meter Man.
All right, let's.
All right, let's get to the plot.
Let's get into the plot of this
pig crap. Ironically enough, that is the driving force of the plot of this movie. Mm-hmm. So I think George.
You said last week the whole point of the movie was it's about a guy who needs to get gas, and in this movie it's just you got to shovel some pig crap.
We start with Max is crossing the desert. Camels are pulling his V8 wagon. He's at the point where he apparently couldn't find it. It goes a lane.
This is in Australian camels. Because camels are native to Australia.
Camels.
And I'm sure that they were easy to get there from Africa.
The gyrocopter brought them over. I'm sure.
He did. when he was out with his safari hat on. That's probably that's where he got the safari hat.
But Max is crossing the desert, and he's attacked by a small aircraft flown by who we find out to be Jedediah and his son. Don't forget them, folks. They don't come back until the end of the third act, but they're a part. And Jedediah steals stuff from him. He's, like you mentioned, he's played by the gyro captain actor from Road Warrior, which is confusing because it's another like airborne based role by the same actor. So it is confusing when you see this guy attacking Max, because if you've been watching the Mad Max movies, like, you already have a relationship between these two. So poor casting choice. Put him in the movie. I don't care, but have him do something else.
Yeah, and he did fine.
It was just it wasn't miscast. It was just he was cast on the wrong part. It wasn't the wrong actor. It was just the wrong role. So having his stuff stolen, Max is trekking his way across the desert, and he makes his way to Bartertown. Hence my. I know you're not a huge video gamer, but I've played the Fallout series, Bethesda's Fallout series, and Fallout 3 and 4 take place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and each of them have just a large city of ragtag, sheet metal as walls kind of thing, and this is what Bartertown reminded me as. Makes his way to Bartertown. Well, they don't let you into Bartertown unless you have something to barter with. And so, I don't know, he throws some stupid, I've got this, or, I've got my work, or I don't know. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter, but it wasn't.
I have a certain set of skills.
Yeah, he had nothing tangible to offer.
Yeah, he goes all Liam Neeson on him.
Yeah, so he's got a certain set of skills, and Tina Turner takes a liking to him. Aunty Entity. So she's like, come on in. Because she's got a plan. See, Bartertown runs on pig poop. Literally.
They have an electrical circuit there.
Bartertown runs on pig poop, and the underworld is run by Master Blaster, a odd-speaking little person who rides atop a giant hulking body. We'll get to that in a minute. Master Blaster runs the refinery underneath, and he's starting to challenge Auntie's leadership. She leads Bartertown above. He runs the underworld below, which is just full of greasy, dirty workers that keep the pigs fed so that they keep pooping, so that they can harvest the gas emissions.
Like the methane from the
stretch.
Pig poop.
But whatever.
It's called science.
You're right.
It's science.
And so Auntie, realizing that, Master is starting to challenge her leadership, realizing Bartertown doesn't run if the underworld isn't working, and I run the underworld. So Auntie has an idea, because Max has a certain set of skills. She doesn't know what they are, but he's Mel Gibson, so I'm going to bring you up to my apartment and talk things over.
Her space needle.
They're in Seattle, by the way. This is Seattle, Australia.
I was wondering why everybody was drinking coffee and wearing flannel.
I did catch the Starbucks down below.
It was.
So Auntie has
you want to know where they get. You don't want to know where they get their syrup from in a city that's run by
exactly. It's all meconium from the baby pigs. But Auntie wants Max to pick a fight with Blaster, because all conflicts in Bartertown are handled in a battle to the death of the Thunderdome.
The Thunderdome.
Sunday. So it's not a bad plan. Auntie realizing that Blaster is the muscle of the Master Blaster duo. That once you go down there, pick a fight, because she views Max as expendable. If he's got nothing to trade, then he's going to trade his life. So we'll bring him in, and we'll make him fight Blaster, and then we can kill Blaster, and then Master has no one to protect him, and then we can take over. And it's not a terrible plan. but this movie is called Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and so it can't end in the Thunderdome.
So, no, it's beyond. It's literally the name.
And so Max goes down.
Like everything else in the Mad Max universe, everything's very literal.
So Max enters the underworld to do his part. He befriends Pig Killer, who was there because he stole a pig to feed his family and got caught. So you're Pig Killer now. His name was probably like Randy. Can I just stick with Randy? No, you're Pig Killer.
Randy, your name is Pig Killer.
Max, he sees his stolen V8 wagon down below. And so he, I don't know, God, I hate this part. And he finds that Blaster is very sensitive to high-pitched sounds, which, coincidentally, Max has the perfect whistle for. No discovery in this movie at all. Everything is just laid right there to rest. And so it's like an Encyclopedia Brown novel.
Mad Max in the case.
We're going to wrap up all the facts right there in front of you, and the only person smart enough to figure it out is you, the viewer. So Max accuses Blaster of stealing his car, challenges him to a duel, and then we get the best scene of the movie by far.
Oh god, yeah.
And it's really not even a great scene compared to other scenes, but compared to this movie, it's the best part of the movie. So Max and Blaster end up in the Thunderdome. Just basically the fight scene. Thunderdome duel. They're all both attached to bungee cords, and there's various weapons that are like Velcroed to the Thunderdome.
Hey, Velcro can survive anything.
This is totally that American Gladiator event where they would have to bungee jump to put the balls in the top of the I don't even remember which game that's called, but you know which one I'm talking about. Where they'd have their towers and they'd have to jump down and get a ball and try to get back to there to put the ball up there. That's what it reminded me of. But this is with chainsaws and hatchets and machetes and.
What was your favorite American Gladiator event?
I was a big fan of the. I liked the one where they had to put the balls in the pit, and it was very football-esque.
Yeah.
I think it was called Powerball. That was a cool game because those gladiators would just lay them out
It was like linebackers going after these like slot receiver type guys.
It just felt like rugby. But
it's like Brian Urlacher tackling Wes Welker,
and they could have just lit him up, but it was fun watching the contestants strategize. It felt like in the best episodes with Powerball, you almost felt like the contestants ended up working together to out well, it probably wasn't tough to outsmart the gladiators, but you felt they were.
The trick is you go second, you follow the first.
Yeah, and the gladiators would go 3-on-1, and then no, they don't.
They don't know any better. They're gladiators.
So, but yeah, that was a good one. I also liked the hamster ball one.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't think they use that in the.
I just felt bad because if you didn't have any momentum, you weren't getting up over that ramp. What was yours?
Nope. Wow. My favorite by far was the assault.
Oh yeah, that's a cool game too. Yeah, I thought about that one.
I always loved that.
Yeah, because it always got real tense when they would get close.
Yeah. There was an urgency factor to it where it's like, oh man, he's close enough to throw the balls at the thing.
When you get that close, just go for the plunger. Quit trying to throw the ball and just stay low. But some of those gladiators had really sick aim too, because they'd hit him on the butt cheek as they're trying around the corner. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun show. Way better than Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh God, I would take that over Mad Max. I would much rather watch the American Gladiators channel on Pluto TV than watch Mad Max.
It'd be fun to make a cut of this. I could do it, download the movie and download a Gladiators episode and just splice in my favorite American Gladiators instead of the Thunderdome fight. So Thunderdome fight, it's pretty predictable. They're bungee jumping around.
Yeah.
Blaster's winning, really. I mean, but nobody's winning. They end up severing the bungee cords, and Max has a chainsaw, and it only has enough gas to start, and then dies like immediately. But Max remembers his whistle. So the best weapon of the Thunderdome was a whistle. A whistle. So
yep. Should have made it like a kazoo or something like that, or a slide. What a slide
cello.
Something that's impossible to play. A harpsichord.
It's like kettle drums.
No, not rockabilly. I can't take that. No.
See Mad Max with a theremin down. He just.
I can't stand the G chord.
So he blows his cute little whistle, and Blaster can't stand the sound of it, and and it gets to a point where Max is going to finish him off, and he hits the helmet off of him, and realizes that Blaster he's got Down syndrome. He's just a giant. He's just a giant being, and he's got Down syndrome, and he just, there's no denying it. They never acknowledge it, but he's got Down syndrome. I mean, he's got every physical characteristic.
Max, Max says something about it. He doesn't name it.
He's got a disability.
Does that mean that Max would have killed the person had they not had a disability?
Yeah, I think so. And I
get the whole Master Blaster thing is just hasn't
not
aged
at all
well, and it's bad. It's really bad on several levels.
And it's like I don't know. There was no need. We're in the apocalypse. Everybody on Bartertown that is not stricken with a disability is still evil and awful. And just make it be a make it. I mean, there was nothing with Lord Humongous. He was just an evil giant dude. Make Blaster just an evil giant dude. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, like the whole point is this show like Max's humanity or something like that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like didn't have to go to that level.
So Max, he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. So you would think, okay, you're gonna die now. Oh no, we don't do that in Bartertown. We're just gonna.
No, they pull out the Price is Right prop.
So yeah, exactly. I forgot to bring out the wheel of fish.
Ooh,
red snapper.
Ooh, very tasty. You could take a red snapper. Or take what's in the box.
We apologize to any listener who may have slightly been offended by our UHF reference here, but we are not condoning nor are we trying to make fun of anyone from the Asian community. We're just, those are the lines from the movie. As we sit here, we talk about how poorly the Master Blaster character is aged because of this, that, and whatever, and we go straight into the wheel of fish. But that's my fault. It's Weird Al.
Yeah, it's Weird Al. It's supposed to be silly.
But yeah, so they bring out this prize wheel of, what's your punishment? And he gets exiled. He gets put out on the desert on a horse with no name. And off he goes. Like, he's like sitting backwards with a helmet on. And he's just out. And
yeah, I'm going to interject something here, just kind of recapping this first act of the movie. We talked a little bit pre-show. My stepmother, Deb, is a big fan of Deb is a big fan of old school Western TV shows, like The Rifleman is her favorite show of all time.
The Whipmaster,
things like that. And she, the Whipmaster. They call him the Whipmaster. But in like action movies and like things like that. And we talked last week about how in the Road Warrior, Max literally has 16 lines in the entire movie. And as I'm watching it, as when he ends up in Tina Turner's like Space Needle apartment, like there's a lot of talking. And so like I'm like if I was watching this with my stepmom Deb, like the first thing she would say is just like there's too much talking. Too much talking.
And she'd be right. There is a lot of dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
Unnecessary dialogue.
And especially like Max, I wasn't line counting, but he's had to have said more lines through the first act of this movie than
probably the first
altogether.
2 movies. Like he wasn't exactly, talking a bunch in the original Mad Max, but this first act was I don't know. The first act was not very good, but it's still the best act of the 3.
Yeah, unfortunately.
When your appetizer is the best part of your meal. And so he's out. He's been exiled. Yeah.
He's out in the desert.
Well, I guess before there, he does confront Aunty, which reveals the plan to Master. Master then, he just vows to shut down the refinery. Or just shut it down. Blaster gets killed anyway. Master is in prison, and now Max is exiled to the desert. Like, it's Aunty, and you almost wonder, like, why did you just do it to begin with?
Yeah, did you really need a guy?
Because it didn't work, and you still
did you need a? Yeah, no. You didn't need a patsy. Just send somebody down there and do it. If you're
supposed to be the leader, which you've got to. I mean, granted, she's Tina Turner, so that's why we know she's the leader. But still, if you take out the star power and you look at it as there's a woman running this post-apocalyptic community, this town. Now, we've seen in Mad Max and Road Warrior how women are treated in the post-apocalypse. I guess it's the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. What is post-apocalypse? Is apocalypse like the day it happened and then everything after that's post-apocalypse? Is it like the
I would assume
is it like the BC AD thing where it was like it was a moment? And so, but we've seen in this universe, in this Mad Max universe, how women are treated, and yet she's the leader. So she's got to have something going for her to get all of these big burly men to just not treat her like they've treated all the other women in the apocalypse. But granted, it's because it's Tina Turner. And so, but yeah, like if you've elevated yourself to the leader of Bartertown, then why are you needing an outsider to do your dirty work? I don't know. Just do it.
Just do it.
So, and she did. When Max didn't get the job done, she just did it. And so, like I said, Blaster's dead. Master's in prison. Max is exiled. Max's horse gets swallowed up by quicksand because it's the 80s. There was a lot of quicksand available in the props department.
They should have sent in Bart from Blazing Saddles.
It's like I've seen this when Atreyu lost his horse, and the never-ending story.
The 80s weren't
but they love their quicksand. Max's horse is swallowed by quicksand. Max escapes and is found by Savannah Nix, which whatever.
Remember Savannah Nix?
She takes him to planet Earth, ERF, planet Earth, which is the oasis in the desert where apparently all the kids live.
And the place that you would think in the middle of a desert that you wouldn't want to leave because it has
the place in the
resources.
Desert that you think Bartertown would be closer to, if not in.
Yes.
But they get this figured out by the time Fury Road rolls along. That you live where the water is. But the children live there. Magically, they are victims of a plane crash. A gigantic airplane, like a passenger airplane, crashed in the desert. They and all their parents live. They survived, and the parents left the kids at the oasis while the parents all left to go traipse through the desert looking for something. The parents never returned, and the kids live in planet Earth. Yes.
Sigh.
Time frame for this, by the way, Road Warrior took place 5 years after Mad Max. So things did go downhill in a hurry. Like within 5 years, it was Lord Humongous's reign. This movie takes place 20 years later. So none of the children of planet Earth were alive when Road Warrior happened. But there was still air travel, apparently, because they were on an airplane that crashed. Yet the only air travel we've seen was a gyrocopter, and now a passenger airplane that has crashed somewhat recently.
Yes, because there's kids there that are probably
they're young,
like 3 or 4
they're very young. And if you're wanting like a mental picture to save you from watching the movie, Planet Earth is basically Endor. It's a rainforest jungle, not just an oasis. It isn't like a couple of trees and some grass by a pond. It's like an entire ecosystem that these kids live in.
Yeah. This is the place of the apocalypse
you would want
to be at.
Yeah.
Not flee from, not leave.
But these are dumb kids, so what do they know? These kids think Max is the plane's pilot. Max denies it, so they show
Captain Walker.
Yeah.
Captain Walker. They think he's Captain Walker. Hey, Mr. Walker.
All I could think of is Marky Mark Wahlberg in Fear when he's talking to Reese Witherspoon's dad. Hey, Mr. Walker.
Yep.
Mr. Walker.
Hey, Mr. Walker.
So these kids think Max is the pilot that is returned because he's got on a leather jacket. He tells them he's not. They then proceed to show him the airplane. Like, maybe this will jog your memory.
That's right.
The Twitchy
airplane.
Still says no. I'm not. And he just says, basically, he goes, whoa, why don't you guys just stay here? Just stay here. Bartertown. Bartertown is not where you want to be. It is far worse. Nix is an idiot, so she and some of the others, they leave anyway in the darkness of night. And Max, of course, takes a crew and they go after him. One kid, unfortunately, finds himself in the quicksand.
Where and Oz, where is it that they're trying to get to?
Is it Tomorrowland?
Tomorrowland. And they're trying to get away. They're trying to, and they reference the Pox eclipse.
Parents, keep your kids in school, please.
Yeah, I think that's really
the last one was
this movie.
Every car needs gasoline. This one, get your kids educated.
because 3 years without an education.
For those of you that are like, hey, school's not out, but we're gonna take a trip anyway. Let your kids stay in school. Let them be educated. Because if not, then they're talking about planet Earth and Tomorrowland. And they're just they're just nonsensical. Nonsensical. So I don't know. Yeah.
It's bad. This whole
Max
finds bad.
They find the kids. They're without supplies. So, we have to go to Bartertown.
Yeah, because at that point, it's either Bartertown or go back and get sucked into the sand.
So we better go to Bartertown. So they get there, and Max, who's only been there for like a day, he seems to know he knows the underground ways to get into Bartertown.
He snuck the blueprints.
Well, Loki
from the
knew how to
needle.
get out of Asgard without being detected, so Max could get into Bartertown.
Yeah, but he lived there.
True. So they sneak into the underground. They partner up with Pig Killer because he needs friends. Because they free Master and they escape in a train truck, which is stupid because they repeatedly show that this train truck is built to travel on a train track, which is fine, but the desert is not full of train track. But this desert is. So they escape in a train truck. They destroy the refinery. Auntie realizes we can't do this without Master. We got to get Master back. So here comes the Act 3 Mad Max universe car chase.
Yep.
All right.
And they're chasing this train in their Mad Max vehicles. Iron Bar is killed like 5 times during the chase.
You know, and like the weapon of choice is a frying pan.
Yes. Complete with like frying pan bonks.
Right.
Because kids like
I was waiting for
sounds.
I was waiting for an Acme anvil to fall on somebody. Or I was waiting for Max to get far enough ahead that they could paint a tunnel on the side of a cliff and then have them all crash into it after he and the kids drive through it.
I'm pretty sure Iron Bar, after getting hit in the face with a frying pan, held up a sign that said "Yikes."
I can't help it. Okay, every time we talk about Iron Bar, it makes me think of Steve Martin's The Jerk, because there's a character in that movie. His name's Iron Balls McGillicuddy. So every time we say Iron Bar, that's all. I just want to keep saying McGillicuddy, but it's Iron Bar McGillicuddy.
Also, the second straight week we've referenced
because we need to get that going. Oh, we should just do a month of The Jerk.
Or we can do a Steve Martin month.
Oh, I could. Oh, I love The Jerk. So yeah, somehow Max and the kids they create some distance between.
After they caught up to them.
They were on their tail. They were like literally on the train truck with them. You know, the kids are.
How did Auntie get on the train?
I don't know.
Like at one point she's just there. Like, oh, okay.
She's Tina
paraglide
Turner.
in or what?
So she's probably just, I don't know. She's probably trying to fit in a Proud Mary reference here. I don't have one. She's just, whatever. But yeah, so somehow, like I said, Max and the kids, they create some distance between them and all of the other vehicles that are not limited by train track travel. And they come to the end of the line. And the end of the line has Jedediah's kid, like, waiting for them. Like, they're on a train truck. Like,
sure.
But that just shows you what happens when you take the Mad Max universe and you strip it of its R rating. They're going to stop because there's a kid there. Max, who then the kid takes everybody back to Jedediah's. Poor Jed's sleeping, so the kid's like smuggling in people. Max talks to Jedediah, talks him into helping the group escape in his tiny plane, which there was barely room for Jedediah and his kid. But let's shovel.
I was expecting to see the kids like hanging onto the wing.
They're like wing walking, like they. But let's fit 15 more kids in the cargo bay. Max can't fit though. So fearing they don't have enough runway, Max clears a path with his vehicle. Like, because that's Jedediah's like, I don't have enough runway. You're in the desert, dude. Like, just go another direction. Max.
Well, so I think he gets in a car
and he's going straight at him. Straight at the bad guys to create distance, because it's just a massive game of chicken, all of them versus Max. I don't know. Of course, there's a crash.
He
survives because Max apparently
off.
Is driving Kurt Russell's car from Death Proof, and and he's caught. Like, Max is there for the killing. Like, he is. The bad guys are there. Max is incapacitated. There's no way he's going to survive this. But Tina Turner, she likes his style. Auntie likes his style, so let's let him go.
Despite the fact that he essentially just ruined her. I like your style. I like your moxie, kid.
I like what you've done. So we're going to let you go, and we're going to go back and rebuild Bartertown. Pigless, apparently. So Bartertown's gone green, apparently. Tina's got an idea. Solar panels and wind, I'm sure. The movie ends with the kids have created a society in Sydney, Australia, because they talked about they wanted to go to the city. They wanted the big city. So Max, the movie ends. The kids are. It ends the way a Mad Max movie ends. The kids are. It's later. The kids, they found their city. They're in Sydney. Savannah Nix is telling the story of Max and his heroics, and it's like if to paint a picture, it's like the only living people in the movie WALL-E, like that are still left on Earth. Like everybody else is taken off in the ship, and this is like WALL-E doing WALL-E's job, not realizing that there's a group of kids in one of the buildings. That's basically what it looks like. Like you lived in the oasis. You had water, you had nourishment, you had shelter, and nobody bothered you. And you wanted to leave that all behind to go live in a dilapidated, destroyed city. Oh God, stupid.
Well, they got the opera house.
Yeah, that's true.
And they have Max's monkey too. I forgot about the
monkey. Whatever.
Because it's not a kids movie without a cute animal companion.
This movie was bad. Yeah,
it was terrible.
It's a real letdown.
Again, it's got a 6.2 on IMDb, and I think that's generous, just because people want to think better of it. Because it's a Mad Max
wouldn't be surprised if for a lot of people, because this was really the first like big Mad Max movie, that for a lot of people this was probably their first foray into the Mad Max universe, and so
I think Warner Brothers
and this has got studio stink all over it.
Oh yeah, there was a Bugs Bunny product placement. One of the kids back at Planet Earth had a talking Bugs Bunny like pull string doll.
It's just terrible. Everything in this movie was backlit. God. Like, where do you get so much light? Everything was backlit. Like, it was cool when Lord Humongous was backlit in the last movie, but that was like a fire. Like, I mean, they showed the fire. Like, there was a bonfire going. So you knew where his backlight was coming from. But this was just, like, you're in the Thunderdome, and the Thunderdome is like, covered in people. Like, it's shelled with people. And yet, there's still light getting through. Like, where are these lights coming from? Studio. That's why they're coming from, is because people like myself overthink these things. And I look at it, I'm like, no, they wouldn't have this much light in the apocalypse. Must have been a full moon.
It's all that pig feces, and it was shining off of Tina Turner's like earpieces. She did. Those like Princess Leia
slinkies wrapped around her ears.
Slinkies.
Yeah.
A couple little chinchillas.
And then the movie ends with we don't need another hero.
We don't need another one of these.
But we got one more, thankfully.
Yes. Yeah, we will complete Mad Max.
Save the best for last, for sure.
Yes. So at this point in the show, as we kind of cleanse ourselves from the trash that is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, we each give our own unique rating to the film we've been watching. Oz, how would you rate Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome?
Like, out of respect to George Miller, I don't want to. Like I told you a little bit, via text, that this reminds me a lot of what happened to the Toxic Avenger after it was successful.
Yeah.
Lloyd Kaufman at Troma had free reign to do whatever he wanted because it was his studio, and he made the Toxic Avenger, and it was kind of a hit. Like, it was underground for sure. It obviously didn't have any like national, theater presence, but it was a big deal. They really liked it.
People liked it.
It was the first superhero from New Jersey, and like I don't know. It's fun. But it's like a kid. They show a kid's head getting run over, so it's like it's not like a feel good movie by any means. But it's a trauma movie. But you know what?
It's supposed to be. And it was, trash.
But it was good trash. And so it was successful. And so Warner Brothers, I do believe it was Warner Brothers again, jumped all over it, and they produced the second and third Toxic Avenger movies, and they were awful. It just felt like everything was leashed. Because Warner Brothers, they've got their name attached to it now. And I'm not saying for Lloyd Kaufman's sake he made a mistake, because absolutely not. He money, he got budget, he got recognition, and it gave him a lot of freedom to do other things he wanted to do. But a toy line came out of it, and a cartoon came out of it, and so it's like it was big. But the second and third Toxie movies were garbage because they were well made. They looked a lot better than the original, but they were garbage because someone was trying to clean the garbage people were wanting to consume.
It was too
it's
too
like
sanitized.
If I want unhealthy junk food, don't give me a healthy version of it. Like that's kind of what this felt like, and that's what Toxic Avenger felt like as well. The second and third one is don't try to clean up the nastiness. And so I 3, I'll give it a 3 because it's the third movie in the out of 4 of them. So there you go. This is number 3. There's my rating.
Okay.
What about you?
I read in the trivia that they rented 600 pigs.
Yeah, because otherwise I saw that too. Because otherwise it would have like disrupted the world's pork market or something. Like Randolph and Mortimer were keeping their thumb to it.
Like this movie didn't do enough to ruin
so
the world.
Thank you, George Miller, for at least not destroying the hog market. 600 hogs would have destroyed the world's hog market.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with 600 pounds of pig crap.
That's generous
for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
So.
All right. Well, at this point, we take a deep breath and continue to cleanse ourselves of the bad that is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and we give you the 3, 2, 1, where Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film we've been talking about. In this case, 1985's George Miller helmed Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Oz, what are your 3 goods
my
for
first
this movie?
one is the world and the Hollywood world, I'll say, recognizing the genius of George Miller's Mad Max franchise enough to back him.
Okay.
To give him a big budget.
Sure.
The budget for this was $10 million. The budget for Road Warrior was 3. So it was triple the budget. But
how much of that went to Tina
exactly.
Turner?
But there was clearly enough. He had done enough in the first 2 movies that they took a chance on him, and so that's my first good because he deserves it. He is, and we've said it the last couple weeks. He is not just the Mad Max franchise. He does have Babe, the original talking pig movie, and which was good. It turned who's the star of that? Yeah,
James
like
Cromwell?
that movie turned James Cromwell into super vegan. Like he gets arrested now for just the other day.
Literally just the other day he he glued himself to a Starbucks counter or something like that.
But when we look at his filmography, we have Mad Max, Road Warrior. He did arguably, George Miller directed arguably the best segment in the Twilight Zone, the movie, the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet part. He did this. He directed the We Don't Need Another Hero music video, but he also directed Witches of Eastwick, Lorenzo's Oil, Babe, Happy Feet 2. But he's directed 19 movies. Yes, 4 of them have been 4 plus a few more ancillaries have been Mad Max universe, but he's not a one-trick pony. I think he's got the chops. So that's my first good, is the studio system believing in him and his ability to give him the budget. I feel like we see that a lot more now because there's so many more studios now. You get Netflix involved and Amazon and Apple, all these, but back in the 80s, it still felt like it was like the big, your MGM and Universal and Warner Brothers and Disney. It's like it just felt still very tentpole. And this was a big budget for the time. So good for them. My second, and not my favorite scene in the movie at all, but it really tapped into what could have been if there wasn't so much studio involvement, was the scene in Planet Earth when Max is trying to talk Savannah and the kids into not going somewhere. And Max shoots at her twice and then punches her in the face.
Yeah, he punches her. He punches this like 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just she's not a woman. He punches a girl. Like after shooting at, now, granted, he wasn't trying to shoot her. He was just trying to scare her.
Yeah.
And so, I put here, I go, maybe mad doesn't mean angry this time. Like he's crazy Max. Like he does. It's like, and she is like the pseudo secondary leader of this child tribe or whatever. And he like, I don't think you should go. Well, we're going to go anyway. And he, like I said, he shoots at her twice and then punches her in the face. So I think it was in my goods because out of everything in this movie, it was so out of anybody's character. Like everything he'd done up to and after that part was one version of Max, and this one was like, dude, you just shot at a kid twice and punched her. Like
he was trying to protect her.
He was by I'm gonna knock you out so you stay here. It didn't work. And my third good, Tina Turner. I won't say like she looked great. She's not an actor, but she held her own. I've seen far worse professional actors. I've seen professional actors give far worse performances than this one. So she was fine. Like I said, she's got the bravado and she's got the
charisma.
Yeah, she really does. So and she looked great. I've never really been a big Tina Turner fan, just music wise, not my style. But it's like she's fun to look at when she was on screen. So
she held her own.
Thanks for that, Tina T. What are your three goods? I know you struggled with them.
Coming up with them. This was not easy. I'll go with my first good. The concept of the Thunderdome is fun. This basically like gladiatorial arena, like this post-apocalyptic version of like a Roman Colosseum kind of thing, where you go in and two people enter, one person leaves, and okay, it's fun enough. And the fact that they had like these weapons like duct tape around the place,
right? It was fun. Like they weren't just down there. You got to get them.
You got to spring up and you grab your chainsaw.
And Blaster, I felt like he knew his way around the Thunderdome a bit. I don't think
You think he's been in the Thunderdome?
I do. Before? I don't think that's his first time in the Thunderdome.
Well, yeah. So the Thunderdome, just the idea of it is kind of cool in this kind of setting. Okay.
Yeah.
My second good is, I don't know. Let's go with science. They harness the power of pig feces and the methane in there to provide electricity. Of course, they didn't try, as you mentioned before, like solar or especially like wind turbine,
right?
But okay, go science, yay!
And I love how like there was no, and I didn't really, I don't remember the dynamics of how they harnessed the pig methane, but it's like it wasn't like they had vacuum shoved up pig butts or anything. It was just like that place had to be the most disgusting smelling place, not only because everything is dirty and greasy, but pigs are stinky anyway. But like literally your job is we're trying to get these pigs to pass as much gas as possible. So for what? Like it wasn't like they had Mega Maid there to suck up all the methane.
Good thing she didn't go from suck to blow in this.
Right. That would have been really bad.
Yeah, so science, yay, pig feces. All right, and my third, and again, I'm really struggling here.
You're reaching.
Oh man,
it's all right.
My third is Max's asymmetrical shoulder pads. Look kind of cool. I'm a fan of asymmetrical clothing. So he had like one big shoulder pad and one little shoulder pad. And, I mean, it was the mid '80s.
I'm a fan of asymmetrical clothing.
Yep, that's the subtitle of this week's episode.
Yeah. Oh man, we need to get T-shirts going. I need to get on Fiverr and get somebody to like design shirts. That'll be one. I'm a fan of asymmetrical clothing.
Yep,
with a picture of Mad Max on there.
Yep, yeah, just like last week's elbow deep in a bag of snakes.
Exactly.
Oh, those are my three goods. Again, that was a stretch to
Yeah.
find three goods for this piece of garbage movie. What are your two bads?
Oh, my first one is just nearly everything included because of the American funding. The childish score, the PG-13 rating, litany of kids, the frying pans.
Yeah.
Even like people were Hollywood dirty. Like they weren't even like they weren't like naturally dirty. You could tell they were makeup department dirty.
Yeah.
And so I mean that's my first one. It just reeked of the studio system and because it was a product of the studio system.
Yeah.
And so there's a reason. I think there's a reason why when we got to Fury Road, next week, I think there's a reason why George Miller was given the reins back.
Yeah.
Of like,
I'll add on to this as well. This is close enough to one of my potential bads, and that it's just there's this like kid friendly lore.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
that's in there, and like like the kids have their own like history and like mythology that they've created for themselves, but it's all super sanitized and super cutesy. You mentioned before like the goofy score,
the Tomorrowland, and it was just
like Mr. Dead is gonna come and get you, and the monkey, like the unnecessary monkey. You'd think that like in the outback of the post-apocalypse, that monkey would have been eaten years ago,
right? Not only that, but it's like, okay, you work with teenagers, I work with teenagers. Unsupervised, nearly naked teenagers. Come on. Like, I'm not promoting it, but come on. Like, hormones don't exist in the apocalypse. Like, come on. That's just like there's not one bad kid in the mix.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, nobody cusses. Like, come on. Like, these are kids.
There's slides. They're swinging around on ropes.
Right. It was a different movie when he was in Planet Earth. It was like Max was exiled to the other side of the studio lot where we were filming this movie. We talked before too that this overall it didn't feel like a Mad Max movie. It felt like just some randomized 80s fantasy movie that between youth versus young versus old, and it's like because you've got two very different societies going on in this movie, and the only link that makes this a Mad Max movie is Mad Max.
Yeah,
that's it. You very easily could have had kids versus adults, but you didn't. You had to shoehorn Max in there, and but yeah, I'm with you. It just
had I done the movie Marriage, it probably would have included like the Goonies in the outback.
You're right.
Like something like that.
Yeah.
Because I really felt like that's kind of what they were going for with large part of this movie.
It's just too much whimsy.
Yeah, like the assault on the methane farm with the pigs. They're swinging around on ropes and like come on. It is hard, very hard, to accept the fact that 25 years into the apocalypse, there's no danger. Like there was no danger in this movie. No, there was no peril. Of all the people and the guns and everything, the sand had the most peril to it.
Oh yeah, the sand was the real murderer in this film.
Yeah.
Beware the sand.
These cans.
But it's just I'm with you though. Like it was too Hollywood. And my second bad is Master Blaster is no Toe Cutter or Lord Humongous. Like I know they were trying to set him up as the takeaway villain. Because Tina Turner's Aunty Entity wasn't the takeaway villain. She was the poster shot. She was the American star we're going to attach to this. And like I said in the good, she did fine. But you felt that like Toe Cutter, it was Toe Cutter. It was the charisma of the actor that made Toe Cutter so memorable.
Yeah.
And really the same with Lord Humongous. It was the performance of the actor that made Lord Humongous so viable. Even Wes was better. And you felt like this was the PG-13 version of that type of baddie.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. It just wasn't believable. Like I think it could have been if you would have combined Master and Blaster into one intelligent giant persona.
Yeah.
Possibly. But the sum of its parts just don't add up. I mean, you've got, like you said, you've got a mentally disabled strong man and a elderly little person playing the brains. Like, once you separate the two, it doesn't work. And that's exactly what Aunty did. Separated the two and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So that's my other bad, is that, I mean, not just the wrongness of the Master Blaster character in today's wokeness world, but just the comparison between Toe Cutter, Lord Humongous, and Wez of the last two movies. No, Master Blaster doesn't cut it. I did read that a lot of people had originally thought that Blaster was the same character from from Swayze's farm in the first one, the oafish guy she runs into in the woods.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That there were some people that thought that it was the same person, but I mean, it clearly wasn't.
No.
I mean, we're looking at 25 years later. He wouldn't have been so young. So that's my second bad. How about you?
Oh man, my first bad is just, it's boring.
Yeah.
It's boring, and Mad Max movies are supposed to be a mile a minute, and it's just boring. Like, it's, again, referencing my stepmom, too much talking.
Like, at one point, we see him get a haircut.
Yeah.
Like,
did you have to show that? Like,
2 weeks ago, I complimented the Mad Max series on how well they could show his Sheila. How well they could show Max's Sheila. Like,
Sheila.
Go to the beach, go swimming, and take a nap in the span of like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
We watched Max get a haircut in this movie.
Yes.
So there you go.
It's just dull. Like, nothing happens. And when it does, it's still just kind of like, meh. Like, okay. Like the big climactic car chase when they're chasing the train.
Boring.
I still thought it was boring.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's basically like Iron Bar, just, like kind of doing, just doing goofy things,
right?
And like, no, now he's on the front of the train. Oh no, he's swinging from the side.
Well,
like,
it's almost like in a post viewing review of like what the car chase scene in this movie separates from the car chase scenes in the previous two is that in this one, like, they had one track. It was a one track car chase scene.
Yeah.
Like, both figuratively and literally. I mean, in the last movie, we see Max turn around an 18-wheeler to go back into it. And it's like he literally cannot swerve in this movie. Like, it's we got to stay on track. We got to stay on track.
Literally.
And so, literally and figuratively, that's how this car chase scene was. There was only one way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Frying pans.
Yeah. So just boring. My second bad is the child acting. And again, the kids didn't cast themselves.
Right.
But like, again,
I auditioned.
I'm kind of picking at low hanging fruit here because most child acting is bad. But like, this was particularly bad.
Mm-hmm.
The Savannah character, I mean, again, she didn't write the lines for herself.
Right.
Like, member. Like, oh god, it's bad and irritating, and again, the child actors were not given good material to work with, so it was just this collection of just awful and dull and lifeless and just
it was bad.
It's just bad. Just bad.
I agree.
All right, Oz, what's your one for Thunderdome?
Oh, that Blaster's weakness was a whistle.
Yeah.
A whistle. Now, it was the high-pitched frequency, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard a pig squeal?
A couple times in my life. I see where you're going here.
So, like, a pig squeal is very high-pitched. Like, the underworld must have been terrible for Blaster. Like, everybody must have known his weakness was high-pitched sounds. Because pig squeals...
That's why he wore that helmet. It had soundproofing.
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that... Oh, it didn't help. Max blew his whistle a couple times. But yeah, Blaster's weakness is a whistle.
Yep.
Like, the strongest character in this movie was taken down
By a whistle.
So that's my huh. That's my huh. It's like from right there, the end of the first act, you're like, well, that was supposed to be the real danger in the movie.
Yep.
And Max beat him with a whistle. So, okay.
With a whistle.
Yeah, that's my huh.
My huh, and I have 4 of them down here just
go
because.
For it.
I'll rattle off the first 3 and then I'll go into detail on my last one. Did Max really have to punch Savannah?
Did they really have it was my good, so yeah.
Yeah. Did they really have to cast Bruce Spence again?
Right.
How'd those camels get to Australia? I mean, they couldn't have all just gotten from the zoo,
No.
And then the one I'll go to more detail on. In the Road Warrior, it was a big deal that Lord Humongous had a gun, and it was a big deal that Max had a gun. In this movie, everyone has guns.
Oh yeah, I didn't even.
And it's 15 years later.
20.
And all the bad guys at Bartertown have functioning guns. So either you have them or you don't.
Right.
Unless they're starting to manufacture guns again.
Well, and it's like it got itself into what is one of my biggest problems with the Walking Dead universe. Of like the show's been going on for so long that we are looking at Judith Grimes as being like a preteen now, right? Mm-hmm. So we're a good 12 years into the apocalypse. And there's so many questions that, like, we're 12 years into the zombie infested apocalypse on The Walking Dead. Where are you guys still getting your ammunition? Where are you still getting gasoline? Like, gasoline doesn't have a shelf life of 12 years. Like, even if you siphoned every vehicle that you ever come across, the gasoline's not good anymore. So you really got to suspend that. And it is hard for me, especially when the show's not good anymore, to suspend that and give it. And so that's kind of the same here. 20 years in, things clearly have not gotten better. But like you said, everybody's armed now. Where'd you get the weapons? Who'd you barter with? Because it's Bartertown.
Tina Turner.
Right.
Yeah, so that's 1985's Max Beyond Thunderdome, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. And what a stinker, Oz.
It really was.
It's not like, I don't know. We were also talking pre-show, like, one of the other big stinkers we've done on this show from a major director was The History of the World Part 1 by Mel Brooks.
I did see this week they are making a History of the World Part 2.
They are.
As you talk, I'll look it up real quick. The cast looks awesome.
But again, just an established director who's done great things, and then this gets churned out with too much studio involvement, and it's just bad. It's not the kind of vision that you expect from these filmmakers. It's not what they normally bring to the table. And in this case, it's in the canon of this existing awesomeness that is the Mad Max universe, and it just goes nowhere. It spins its wheels. You bring in Tina Turner, to Hollywood up things, and she didn't cast herself. She didn't do a bad job, but it did nothing for the mythos, did nothing for the filmography.
Yeah.
So who's in History of the World Part 2?
So last October, Hulu ordered an 8-episode variety comedy series to follow up Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1. And Mel Brooks is involved. Here's the cast. Here are people attached to it so far. Malcolm Barrett, Jillian Bell, Darcy Carden, Rob Corddry, Robbie Hoffman, Mitra Johari, Joe Mondi, Wendy McClendon-Covey, Seth Rogen, J.B. Smoove, David Swain, Adam Sandler, Steve Martin, Martin Short, Ted Danson, Natasha Lyonne, Tim Robinson, Kumail Nanjiani, Keke Palmer, Michael Keaton, Johnny Knoxville, Taika Waititi, Danny DeVito, Haley Steinfeld, Dave Cameron, Jacob Elordi, Charles Melton, Zazie Beetz, Idina Menzel, Pam Oliver, and Tara Lipinski.
Tara Lipinski.
Yes.
That's an interesting one to conclude on.
I know. Hold on. Other names. Jay Ellis, Timothy Stevens, Bo Burnham, Jack McBrayer.
I love Jack McBrayer.
Benedict. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, these are offers that are out. Jay Ellis for Jesus Christ. Timothy Simons for Abraham Lincoln. because Bo Burnham passed. Jack McBrayer to play Robert E. Lee. They're also looking for somebody for William Shakespeare as Benedict Cumberbatch passed, as well as people to play Galileo, Grigory Rasputin, Leon Trotsky, Vladimir Lenin, Joseph Stalin. Apparently Adam Sandler was offered the role of Joseph Stalin.
Of course he was, because that makes complete sense.
Right. So, but I'm like, well, I mean, there were a lot of big names attached to the first one, but not quite the treasure trove that sits in that cast listing.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time seeing people like Steve Martin and Martin Short getting involved with something that isn't going to work. Like,
yeah. Usually they're pretty selective, and they have pretty good choices.
Yeah. So, even Seth Rogen and and it's like they don't have to. And hopefully, if it's just for a chance to work with Mel Brooks, hopefully they bring their A game. So
yeah, I'm sure they will.
But yeah, it's looking as potentially like an 8-part Hulu series, which I think could be more easily digested, instead of having the different vignettes all slapped together as a film, almost like a drunk history kind of.
Well, yeah, like a make it more like a sketches, which is
right to where maybe each episode has a couple, and then that could be much easier to digest.
Yeah, than your 45-minute sequences in that movie,
right? Where you've got to pad the run time to fill the time. Because it just didn't go well.
Yeah. Well, Oz, what do we got in store for next week?
Well, we are looking to wrap up Mad Max May with the culmination and easily one of my top favorite movies, Mad Max Fury Road.
Looking forward to this one.
Oh, so much so. So a quick shout out to Patreon subscriber Don S. Thank you for your patronage. You can always support the show by finding the Patreon link down below. We keep the threshold pretty low with tons of accolades coming your way, as we will mention your name weekly on the show. And if you support enough, the access to our mini episodes, which we've yet to make any because we haven't had anybody jump on board. But yeah, so Mad Max Fury Road will finish out Mad Max May. And as usual, you know where to find us: social media handles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You could be watching this now. But yep, that's where we're at. You know where to find us: favorite podcast apps, all that other fun stuff. And I'm just glad to get this one over with. I will not
flush this one down the toilet.
Yeah, I will not have near the struggle making it through Mad Max Fury Road. A lot of times I'll sit and I'll have a movie on while our podcast movie while I'm meeting my daily quests in a game or something,
Yeah.
But no, Mad Max Fury Road will get my undivided attention because it is a full. I remember the first time I watched Mad Max Fury Road, I was on the treadmill. I'd never seen it, and just the pacing of that movie. I remember I had to increase the speed of the treadmill
because you were so pumped.
It was just a full out sprint from start to finish, with a little bit of turnaround time in the middle. But but no, it just that opening few minutes was like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up. The treadmill can't keep up with me. I got to speed this up. But yeah, just adrenaline from the beginning. Such an awesome movie. Very looking forward to discussing it. So yeah, that's it for this dud. That happens,
Yeah. It can't all be good.
No. And it worked out perfectly that we've got a 4-movie series and a 4-week month.
Yep.
But honestly, had we done the 4 Lethal Weapon movies, we would have run into a dud. Had we done Die Hard movies, we'd have run into duds. Let's not even get started on horror franchises. But yeah, it's par for the course, and so I just wish it was. I wish it would fell into the so bad it's good territory, but unfortunately, it did not.
It's just bad.
It's just bad. So, but I think we can provide a sneak peek of the review that George Miller fully redeems himself by the fourth installment. And they are working on a Furiosa movie, so there is more Mad Max universe coming. And so a lot of fun facts and trivia to share next week that I'm excited. And we will certainly get to it in a week's time. So for Let's Talk About Flicks, I am Oz.
And I am Curtis.
And we will catch you guys next week. Thanks.